If you want to be a full-time creative person working for yourself, making money here on the internet like me, this is what it is. Okay, y'all, it's 2024. We are out here, right, investing in the life we want to have for ourselves, manifesting it, if you will. I'm seeing people put out the vision boards. I'm seeing people do the manifest journaling. Am I dabbling in it? Maybe. All that to say, I know that you're probably in that headspace, so let's talk about it. Creativity cannot persist if your money's acting funny and your change is acting strange. So in this video, I'm gonna actually talk about briefly how I manage my money as a creative person. I have gone over those things in the past, but I've always talked about just how much money I was making from those streams of income, not actually how I managed it. I'm gonna talk about how much I pay myself from my business account, how I save money, things like taxes and overhead for running your creative business. Part one, so the first section of this video, my salary, how much I pay myself. That's an easy question to answer. I pay myself $5,000. Rip off that Band-Aid real quick, real easily. So it goes from my business's checking account to my personal checking account on the 25th of every month. So that way it's there by the first of the month for all those things that come out usually at the first, like rent, and that's what I do. Now, when I was having my most productive year ever, the most I've ever made from all of my different income streams, which was in 2022, I was paying myself $8,000 a month. And that was also when my husband, Mr. Hallease, took a sabbatical from nursing. And I was able to do that because I saved. So a big thing that I always tell creatives is it's so important to save, because that's actually how you build a landing strip for yourself to keep going and work on the creative projects you want to work on. Every month when I pay myself the $5,000, $1,000 of that goes into a high yield savings account that me and Mr. Hallease have together. And a high yield savings account is basically an account that's federally insured, where you put money into it and it has a higher interest rate. So the idea being that your money is making you money. The financial guru's finna come in the comments. I can feel it. I can feel y'all coming to the comments right now. And you're gonna say something like, yeah, but they rarely keep up with inflation and blah, blah. That's not the point. Sit down, calm down, all right? For those of y'all who maybe watched that series where I broke down all of my streams of income for 2022, probably thinking like, well, wait, why are you only paying yourself $5,000 a month? That can't, like, you could be paying yourself so much more, Hallease. And I would say to you, no viewer, I cannot pay myself more. And I'm gonna tell you why. Taxes, bro. One thing's for sure, two things for certain, death and taxes, amen? So for those of y'all who are like semi-business savvy, I run Stumblewell, my production company that I house all of my creative work under. I run it as a single member LLC. In general, if you run your business more as an S Corp, the tax breaks are better, but things aren't as liquid usually when you do that. And by liquid, I mean it's hard to kind of like get access to the cash faster. That can be something that's really important to consider. Obviously, go talk to a financial advisor. I personally have one. So that way you can decide when it's maybe time to shift how your business is run, so on and so forth. Taxes, bro. You really have to think about taxes a lot. So something I generally do, I set aside like anywhere from 20 to 30% of it into my business's savings account. Okay, so I've already talked about how my partner and I have a high yield savings account that we share. That's a personal thing. My business as an entity has a savings account, and I will set aside the projected taxes into that account. I also put forth an effort to try to set aside roughly 3 to 6 months of the business's operating expenses into that account too. But then there's the overhead side of it, right? All the things that you have to keep your business running. Now, Stumblewell is my production company. So a lot of the overhead that I'm about to list that I have might not actually be relevant for you. And honestly, I would say some of it is a bit overkill, you know, but it's some of those things that I have that the company covers. I have found like overall add to my productivity, overall add to client satisfaction and things like that. For example, I go to a co-working space. That way I'm around people and I'm not just alone in my living room. all the time. I don't do my own taxes. I work with a CPA EA because they be hitting you with like, that's a tax write-off. And you'd be like, oh, word? I'm heavily involved, but I don't do it myself. That's just the life I live for me. Dropbox, Frame.io, Microsoft 365. The closed captions on this video. I work with a service. That service costs money. And I really value working with a service to make sure that the closed captions are accurate, etc. My company, Stumblewell, has a business mailbox. It's in the description of every video. And it's a UPS store. And I have a UPS mailbox rather than a USPS mailbox, because if you get a UPS mailbox, it can actually act as your official business address. Generally speaking, if you register your business with your state, you have to put some form of address. And usually that stuff is like public. You know, people can look up your business address. Something else I'll see folks do who are in a similar line of work to me is not have insurance, okay? I have insurance for my gear, for my company as a whole. People just be out here with their cameras just wilding. Not I, said the cat. I have insurance. And then of course there's the gear purchases, which have to be factored in, of course. But at the same time, you know, you do have to kind of rein that in. Okay, you probably don't need that lens. You don't, all right? And I'm saying this to you, but I'm also saying this to me. Hallease, close the browser. You don't need it. Close the browser. Keeping things like overhead in mind for my company, that's why things like Patreon are so great. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Hallease. There you get early access to my videos, exclusive content, merch, so much more. It's a good time. And also my Patreon producers act as my board. They're usually the first ones to know about creative projects I have coming up. For example, right now I'm working on a proof of concept scene for a graphic novel, and I'm actually like working with an artist on that. So patreon.com/Hallease if you're interested. Again, there you get early access, exclusive content, merch, so much more. It's a good time. And so without counting my salary of what I pay myself every month, it costs anywhere from $25K to $45K a year to run Stumblewell as a production company, and which comes out to roughly like $2,000 to like $3,300 a month. And again, it fluctuates depending on what I'm working on. So if I'm doing a lot more client work where it's requiring me to work with a lot more contractors as well, you know, the overhead cost of the company will kind of go up a bit. But that's fine because I'm also getting client work. So it's covering that increase in overhead and then some, right? Because it's client stuff. Which brings me to like what my closing thoughts are. The whole point of this video is not some big grandiose flex of like, ooh, look at me, I'm all my money. No. The point of this video is to give you a clear path and view of what it means to actually be inside labor in this way. If you want to be a full-time creative person working for yourself, making money here on the internet like me, this is what it is. I value my financial freedom and my creative freedom, which is why thinking about all of these things, managing all these things, for me, the payoff is there. One thing you're never going to see me do here on the internet is knock anyone for having a W-2 job. And sometimes the best way for your creativity to persist is to not have to think about the finances of running your own thing, not to have to think about the overhead of running your own thing. Sometimes the best way for creativity to persist is for you to be comfortable in your W-2 job and have your art be what feeds your soul, but not what physically has to feed you. Okay? It's a completely different frame of mind you need to put yourself in as a creative person, as an artist, to turn your creativity into a business and manage that business. Again, I think it can be incredibly rewarding. I love it, but it's a lot of work, and I want to make sure you come into it with your eyes completely wide open. So as we kick off 2024 with a bang, I hope your vision boarding is going well. I hope you're setting intentions for the new year. I hope this video helps in doing that. That is my goal, because creativity must persist, and creativity cannot persist again if your money is funny and your change is strange. You can't be creative out here, okay? Can't be creative. Again, I'm Hallease, endeavoring to persevere as always, and on this channel, I document my chaotic good life. Subscribe, follow social media, all of the things. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.